Hello, hello, my beautiful fellow precious whimsies. Thank you for tuning in. What do you think? I draped it in silk in the back, and the silk scarves have butterflies on them. So I got some feedback yesterday that we get to decorate the back area and have a little fun. It's kind of a way that our community can come together, us folks who come to this channel to just have a little lightness, talk about the political situation, be enjoyed together, be safe together, be enjoyed together, play together. You know, it was interesting. I was doing a little research on the history of Tibetan Buddhism, and there is actually an oracle, a deity that is the equivalent of the Buddha of Whimsy. Capricious. It's also been translated as capricious, and it teaches people to bring joy and love and laughter and merriment into their lives. That's kind of traditionally what the Oracle of Whimsy did, and I thought, well, gosh, that's great. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll, in the spirit of whimsy, we will persevere to encourage people to just have fun. This is a safe space. Somebody said, are you really enjoying this? Of course I'm enjoying it. I'm around great people, we're having fun, and we're finding creative ways to cope with what is really a scary time in our nation's history. So thanks for coming to Whimsy's place and having fun with me. And we do actually do real work here, but we do try to create a safe space. I don't like seeing people attacking each other on my channel. I know that's happened, so this is a safe space. Let's all just have fun. And yeah. Okay, so somebody had said yesterday, well, what's next? Are we going to have a tea party with little tiny teacups? And I thought to myself, well, gosh, this woman is psychic, because that's exactly what I had planned. I was planning to invite you all for tea. Look at that. It's a traditional English tea, sort of. We've got some nice tea here from I've got some Sprouts organic black tea that's been steeping. We want to give a black tea about 4 to 5 minutes to steep if we like it good and strong. We've got some coconut sugar here. Coconut sugar has a glycemic index of 35 for those of you who are worried about your blood sugar but you want something a little sweet. And along with that, we have some lovely, for your enjoyment, gluten-free vegan chocolate chip cookies. And don't be fooled, they're actually quite delicious. So I'm going to go ahead and pour a little bit of tea. Yes, got a little bit of milk in there. Full confession, I do like a little milk in my tea. And we'll do a little bit of the coconut sugar. Yes. All right. So we are joining Whimsy for a little tea time, and we're going to have a little conversation about last night's remote. Okay. So yes, we're having a tea. And I'm thinking if I have a Whimsy party where people can come and hang out in a safe space, do a little art, that maybe they should be tea times, because I really love tea times. Maybe serve tea and little sandwiches and whatnot, playtime. And then we can have heady conversations, but it won't be so unpleasant if we all have pleasant surroundings. It helps us get through it. All right, so I've been getting a lot of comments about Barr, and could I please throw on Barr what's going on? And we were told that he would hand over the whole Megillah, like he was going to hand over the whole thing. I never thought he was going to hand over the whole thing. I know other readers have said that, not me. Because, let me explain what I think is going on. This is what I'm feeling as I go into the meditative state regarding Barr. It feels to me like, the contrary to what the public is being told, it felt to me like the Mueller report, the public Mueller investigation was wrapped up, but the actual investigation will continue. It looked to me like it was a little bit more than halfway done, if I were to make a prediction, in terms of the amount of work that that Robert Mueller has completed. And as we had talked about, the work then got shipped off to various different areas where separate, because each requires its own investigation. So when he put out a report, as I saw it, it was almost like preliminary, like this ends this phase of the Mueller report, but the investigations continue, and I don't see Robert Mueller ending his work for the Justice Department. And in fact, he's still with the Justice Department helping to figure out what they can release from the Mueller report. Here's the problem. There's a grand jury I understand that there's a couple grand juries that have been sequestered. They're also going to be creating juries in the future for some upcoming trials. And the Mueller report theoretically is problematic, because the problem with the Mueller report is that it could taint the jury pool. If they release the research when it's less than halfway completed and people get the false idea that the Mueller investigation, that the investigation is completed, that's why there's all this confusion, and that's why Barr can't talk, because what they tried to do is get rid of the public investigation so that life could get back to normal in DC, and there would still be investigations, but they didn't want to shut DC down. They wanted it to be more quiet. They wanted it to be broken up. We've talked about this. But you can't publicly say that, because then the public knows, and then you're right back where you started from. Well, where's this? The public is already hunkering down, looking at what's going on with SDNY. When I did a remote a couple weeks, I think it was a week ago, on the question of lawsuits, I wound up with the feds investigating Trump properties and golf courses in New Jersey, New York, properties in Florida and California. And I believe it was Rachel Maddow last night that she broke that there's now an investigation in California as well as New Jersey, New York. So energetically, what that feels like is it just feels like all this stuff hitting at once. And I think that it's creating a lot of emotional stress for the president. What happens when people are under a lot of tremendous emotional stress? They can't sleep, they have anxiety, the doctor might give them Ativan or some kind of anti-anxiety medication. Benzodiazepines and barbiturates have also been used as muscle relaxers and anti-anxiety medications. Unfortunately, they're addictive, so is Ambien. So yeah, I think it's a situation that cannot continue. And also, people wanted to read the article I wrote about why I think that the president and possibly the vice president have a drug problem. I wrote an article about 6 months about that. It got a lot of attention, and then I pulled it, and then I put it back up again. So if you want the link to that, it's not this. Well, I guess I could put it up again. I'll put it up again, so for people who wanted to read my argument with that. But basically, that's what I see, is that if the Mueller report is released, future trials, because there are some future trials coming up, theoretically it's going to be really hard to get a non-biased jury if they do that. So how do you ensure that people get a fair trial when you've got this kind of attention on a case? So it's an interesting conversation we can have, and it helps us better understand the pickle that Barr is in. He cannot release the research of a half-done investigation with naming names. Does that make sense? Does everybody get that? And can everybody see why he had to get all of this public attention off of DC because people couldn't work, etc.? So that is how it looks from an energetic perspective. All right, I'm going to take a cup of my tea, sip of my tea, and we're going to go ahead and shuffle, and we're going to try and see what's coming up. I think we're going to get, if any, The impression I got was that some version of the full Mueller report would be handed to the Gang of Eight, and that was what I saw. A much smaller version is probably what the public's going to see. Okay. That tea is good. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle. We're going to use the, I think we'll use the Radiance. And we'll see what we find. When is the Mueller report going to be released? When is the Mueller report going to be released? I think it's going to be released around the 10th, 11th, or 12th of next week. The energy opens up the 10th, 11th, or 12th of next week, and I'm trying to figure out why that happens. We try to be as accurate with dates and times here as we can, my fellow sensitive people. Somebody had asked the other day, how does this work? Like, how can people meditate and put these things together? Well, sometimes it's just common sense. When you meditate, when your brain gets to a slower beats. This was the Silva mind control method research. He found that when people relaxed their brain, they did better on test. They learned better. They were able to put the pieces together. That's a huge part of why meditation works for figuring these things out. And then there's the rabbit hole. There's that aspect of meditation where we really don't know where the answers come from. You can see here a nice magician is the base card. And we can see a loss of a page of pentacles. I think that there's going to be some kind of a battle, a legal battle about what can be released. Because again, we're in a pickle about what the public should and shouldn't know about an active investigation that could potentially taint the jury pool. It's a big problem. It could also theoretically harm future and ongoing investigations. It's a big issue for them. You can see an inverted page of pentacles moving in. It's and a power play here. I think that they don't want to release it to the public. Not wanting to give out bad information about the president is a misunderstanding. It's more not wanting to give out information that, again, theoretically could have an impact on not just how people vote, but how people are tried in the future. Here we can see a Six of Pentacles moving in with a Four of Wands, which is the month of April. So some kind of acquiescing, some kind of compromise is going to be coming in from Justice Barr, but not the kind of disclosure we want. I do feel like it's being misrepresented, though, in terms of what Barr is trying to do and just how his hands are tied in this situation. You can see the Devil card inverted. This leads me to think, with a Hangman on the inverted on the third house, that he's getting it from all sides. Barr is getting it from all sides. I don't like the fact that this is in the third house, because that would suggest possibly an alliance, that a morally questionable alliance with this administration. You can see coming out of the past and a crash coming. No found it. He's going to have a real hard time legally defending his position. You can see these are Barr's cards. A Tower is coming. He's outside of the, it will probably be, he has to tell the American people what's going on and be a little bit more specific, because this Tower moving in for him in the near future would suggest that there's going to be a conflict happening between him and Congress, and it's going to be because of this inability to hand over documents. And it's quite there's quite an implosion. People are not having their questions answered. There's no foundation, there's no communication, there's a complete breakdown of communication. Let me just clarify this. They're going to put fences around the report. They're going to put fences around the report, and it's because it's an active investigation. All right, so be patient. I do think that Nancy Pelosi and the Gang of Eight will have more information than we will, and I do think that Barr has a legitimate concern about the future of this case and the people that are facing indictments and criminal charges later on. Yeah, that's the issue. So the other thing that people had asked me to take a look at was to find out if the president is going to try and bypass the current Congress and the current laws and still is pushing to close the southern border. I think he's actually back at the southern border today. Let's see about the emergency that he declared, what's going to happen with that, and what's going to happen with the closing of the southern border. It's going to be with our country. Base card, new contract coming in, and the Five of Pentacles moving in as well. I don't like that Five of Pentacles coming in because it's a poverty card. A new contract with the person who's in need, trying to get back to the church. This is the poor, vulnerable person who's seeking the light, seeking to get into the church, seeking you can see a new contract coming in. Where we are at right now, strong and service. Compassion coming in, Six of Pentacles, aid coming in. This is very, very interesting. This is almost looking like a power greater than the president is going to step in and deal with this emergency in a way that's compassionate. It's going to overstep the current administration. You can see the new contract here with services, aid coming in, and strength. What is above us? Lost communication, a breakdown in communication, particularly communication about funding. What is below us? A Ten of Cups could be moving in, a desire for negotiation. People really want this to stop. This constant bickering, constant fighting, constant warring. It's really gotten old. You can see cup energy comes in a lot. Sandwiched between double aces, that's really quite auspicious. You can see Ace of Swords moving in with an Ace of Pentacles moving in. It's sad. America's history has had a lot of persecutions. But there's a new energy moving in. The situation will be resolved. The Nine of Cups, which is the wish card, moving in as the final outcome. The selfish man in charge who doesn't want to help, doesn't want to give, doesn't want to serve. That's the inverted King of Pentacles. Stress, lack of choices. the heart opens. The heart that was closed is opened. It's interesting to see the way the Republicans and the Democrats, the Republicans that don't like this president, have approached the issue of the president's mental health more than the Democrats. The Democrats are focusing on Russia, corruption, etc. But the Republican opposition to this president has been more focused on the president's mental health. And there's been some frustration on the part of Republicans who are trying to get rid of this president because they want the narrative to be about the president's mental health. And I think that they've got a point, because the president appears to be having increasing health problems. I just want to do a quick throw before we close today on Donald Trump, just to see how he's doing and how his health is doing. Is he okay? Is he okay? How is Mr. Trump doing? Let's shuffle. How is Donald Trump doing? How is his health? You want everyone healthy and happy. Healthy, happy people make better presidents. We'll even let him come to a Whimsy party. This will give him tea and toys to play with. How is Mr. Trump doing? Base card, fighting with everybody, defensive, upholding his position. I can do it better than you can. I know what I'm doing. I don't want to take criticism from anybody. Seven of Wands is someone who feels that they are fighting back multiple critics, feels cornered, and their position is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Their world is getting more and more narrow as they attempt to defend themselves against multiple attacks. This is where the president is at right now. What is coming in is a star card. You know, the other thing that I was picking up about the Mueller report is that there's enough information in the Mueller report right now that they could negotiate a resignation with this president. They might even give him an opportunity to resign, him and his children, before the Mueller report is released, or even bury parts of the Mueller report. But, as I'd mentioned in previous videos, this president does not want to resign, even though resignation, taking a deal on a lesser sentence, which is what they were working for. Okay, we'll get you on obstruction. We won't get you on, espionage, which he really should be charged with. Instead, we'll get you on a lesser crime, and we'll get you and your kids off, and you'll just leave. Star card comes in. Star card is coming in, which means there's some kind of relief that's coming to this situation. I don't see this president being able to continue much longer, though, because of the stress and the mental health and physical health challenges that are coming up. August, or 8th month, comes in, and what crosses it, moving on, a Knight of Wands, the movement card in August. I think he could be out as early as end of May, though. What is above the Hermit card? Seeking knowledge. What sits below him? Concern about the Mueller report. Concern about the Mueller report. This was the Mueller report in the last throw. Heartbreak. The Empress moving in. The economy's been doing very well. And there's Mueller. His outcome is Mueller. Hopes and fears the presidency. He'll make a deal with Mueller. You can see a Four of Pentacles moving in with Mueller's card. And you can see where he's at in the coming weeks. A Ten of Cups moves in. Foundation, happy family. The hope and fear would be the presidency and the Tower. This suggests that some kind of a deal has to be made. If he doesn't make a deal, then the report will come out, and then it will be a very public impeachment process. can see what they're trying to avoid here. The justice is coming in, walking away. Okay, so be patient, my fellow sensitive people. Negotiations could be happening right now about a resignation. I've talked about this in the past. The president wants nothing to do with it because he refuses to admit he's done anything wrong. Unfortunately, as I had said, they're a little bit, slightly less than halfway through the real investigation. I don't see Mueller leaving, and I think that the public investigation was shut down, and it will continue on in a different form. And the problem again with the Mueller report is that it's an incomplete report. It's telling us where Mueller is at, but there's still plenty more to go. I think he was only at, it looked like he got far, but he was still less than about halfway through some of the investigation that we're going to see coming out in the next year or two. So they're at about the halfway point, and that's why it's so problematic releasing this to the general public. All right, we shall get through this. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for having a little tea with me. Be sure and share, like, subscribe, and if you'd like to see me for a reading, you can get all that information below this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay strong, and I'll see you next time. Bye. All right, Mila, what do you think of your new tutu? Do you like your new tutu? Yes? I think you look quite lovely. Are you ready to be a Shenyang dancer? Yes? Do you want to watch your ballet now that you've got your costume? No? All right. All right.